Hello, my name is Toni-Lee Sangastiano, and I'm a volunteer at the National Museum for the United States Army. I wanted to volunteer because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, especially with sort of this large institution of museum. The Army hasn't had this type of museum, and I also wanted to give back to my community. I often think of myself as kind of a bridge, whether it's in my teaching or volunteering. And certainly, I think being a bridge between the military and civilian population is a wonderful thing to do. So I was really excited about it, and I feel honored to be part of this historical moment. Such a difficult question. The cast figures, I think, are stellar. For my docent training, I picked the knee with the mini or mini ball embedded into it. But I think my real favorite one is, it's actually the landing gear from 9/11. I was a volunteer firefighter, actually in New Jersey. That's where I'm from, during 9/11. So that really kind of hits home for me and my experiences connected to that. I think being part of a historical moment is my favorite part, and the people, right? It's been amazing to watch the museum transform and really get to see the inside of it before it was completed, right? And then you just really feel as a volunteer, I think the overall excitement of everyone and the community, and then just how much we've had to be flexible, especially during a pandemic. And I think it's kind of strengthens our bonds. And so it's been really fabulous to be part of that moment and community. So I, as an artist and professor, I love the combat artist program, and I love the special exhibit that is on the second floor. And I had recently learned that there's a whole archive of World War II art at Fort Belvoir connected to this exhibition. So like my dream would be to see that someday, even though that's probably not a possibility, but I just find it fascinating. So I'm a professor at Georgetown University. I teach graphic design and art classes, and I have a PhD in philosophy, aesthetics, and art theory. So my whole life, I think I've been meant to be a teacher, a professor. I always have good rapport with my students. And I never wanted to teach, especially as an undergrad. I was like, no way, I'm not ever doing that. And I kind of fell into it through my favorite professor as an undergrad. And for me, it's about sharing, right? Sharing stories, sharing community. And that just comes naturally to me, and making those connections. So if I could expand somebody's perspective or show them something new or teach them something, or just have an authentic human connection with someone, that feels like that's what I'm meant to do. And it just happens to be in many forms, whether it's in the classroom or whether it's volunteering for the museum. So I have been through a couple of deployments, and I used to live in Vermont. Now I live in Virginia. And one of the most striking things for me as a family member is just when you come to a state that has many more military bases, right? And then there's such a huge community and support network that I didn't previously have in Vermont. So I just think that there's so many support resources, and then just the friendliness and the openness, and between family members and everything that you could sort of do and be part of. So it really there's just that welcoming, loving aspect that really lets you know that you're not alone, right, in this. And while you're supporting other family members who may be deployed or working, right, or any of those situations. So I think that's really been the most moving thing for me, and something I've greatly appreciated in my transition from Vermont to Virginia, and having access to those resources, and just meeting so many really wonderful people. I think it's pretty amazing. just having an open mind and just listening to and learning about individual soldiers' stories, and what it's like for them, what it's like for family members, right? And then just this idea of something for the greater good, and serving, right? And what that's like, and what that means, and how that's sort of shifted over time historically, but yet there's a core aspect of that, I think, that remains the same today. And so I think that's probably what I'd like people most to know. I love volunteering. You know, I love giving back. I think that's core to who I am, and especially being in a new place. I feel driven to do that, and especially for something as important as the National Museum of the United States Army, right? I mean, who gets to be part of something like that? Like we all do right now in this moment, especially being part of that first docent class. But it's a way to sort of further my own learning, right? And then just establish more of a connection, and then to really kind of honor the people who serve and their families. You know, there's so much I've learned about the history of my background as far as my degrees is in a different field, but it still connects, right? In how I approach this. So, you know, I would encourage lots of people to volunteer and be part of it or contribute in some way. And so it's I think, a very fulfilling experience, and I won't ever forget it. And I'm so glad to be part of it. And I plan on, continuing my path, and I can't wait for the museum to reopen and really be part of that, because it definitely feels like a once in a lifetime event, since the Army was really the only military branch that hadn't had their own overall big museum. Right? Just feel like you never know what life will bring you or what opportunities will present themselves, and I think that's kind of the exciting part about volunteering, and kind of being in the right place at the right time, and jumping at the opportunity to sort of make it happen and be part of such an amazing historical moment. In general, the whole thing, right? So I think architecturally, it's stunning, right? It's very impressive, just even walking up to the building itself. And I'd say on a more mini level, so it'd be like the macro level, right? The building itself, and then just its meaning and all the build up to get to this point. But I also think about the individual soldiers' stories, right? And then that real emphasis on that, right? Because often I think and more so today, just because there's fewer people serving as opposed to, let's say, World War II, right? Was it like 1% or less than 1%, right? Compared to World War II, is that focus on the individual stories, right? And then just learning about that from each person's perspective, the cast figures, the stanchions, and I think that really kind of humanizes, and it's such a really important part of kind of creating that bridge and understanding between civilian and military populations.